So here's the truth. We set the retirement age in the 1930s to be 65. Life expectancy in that year was 62. Retirement was a palliative workplace program. It was a social service, a kindness, because people were remaining at work well past life expectancy, and they needed a social support so that they could fulfill the dictionary definition of the word to retire, which means to withdraw or to conclude. If you think about how the word gets used, you retire to bed in the evening. You don't retire to a party. That's an improper use of the word. And yet, something very strange has happened since the 1930s. We've gone from having a 62-year life expectancy to an 83-year life expectancy. And yet our working life expectancy is frozen as if it was still the 1930s. We still expect that it's appropriate to give signals and cues, to have talent management systems and training systems, recognition systems and performance systems that generally start to expect that people are going to be withdrawing and concluding, or that they don't want any additional advancement, learning, and engagement in their careers very, very early. And as a result, there's this weird dynamic that takes place where people get stuck, nowhere to go, and this expectation that they shouldn't want to go anywhere either. We call it a broken talent escalator, and there's a lot more that I can share on that. But I just want to leave the concept right here to indicate when we talk about demographics and longevity, that's why this is the single greatest factor that everyone needs to consider and interpret in your own organization. And then to think about, so what would need to change for us to actually have career paths and patterns, expectations, talent management, training, all of those things to be more reasonable and realistic for an 83-year life expectancy. You'll see on the chart that what we've identified and what we've noticed over the last 10 years, this actually was one of the foundational pieces where Challenge Factory started its work 10 years ago, is that we haven't just extended work life. So if you've been an accountant for 20 years, now I'm saying you have to be an accountant for 40 years, but there's a brand new segment of life that has emerged. A 60-year-old and a 93-year-old are all called seniors, but they are not the same segment of life. And we need to recognize what that means from a work perspective. And note, the legacy career period of time is the longest in our careers. It is enough time for us to learn something new and to make change. It's not reasonable to just bide our time for decades and decades and decades.